introduce Dr. Raman. Over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Annie. Wow, those were really great 3 sessions, isn't it? That was power packed. I'm so glad I was hearing all 3 of them. Thank you so much. Today, I want all of you to go back to your past and think about that crazy dream when you wanted to make an impact on the world. I want you to think about that inner desire to make a difference around you. Raise your hands if you still have that fire burning under the surface, waiting to come out. If you had the fire, what happened? Why are you not there, my friends? What's stopping you? Maybe life brought you unexpected challenges. Maybe you got an unthinkable failure in your life. Maybe you met some illness or medical trauma. Maybe you lost someone very dear to you. Maybe the lifeline relationship got broken. Maybe that cherished dream shattered. Maybe you got losses in your business or investment. Or maybe you lost that job you wanted so much. Whether it is crisis or adversity, short-term or permanent, all bring you one thing. And that one thing I call a wall of limitations that seems to restrict your forward movement in life. The wall of lacks that makes you feel less than others. The wall of being not good enough amidst your most misfortunes. For a moment, you might feel your losses make you less, but it does not. What if for a moment I told you that this exact thing that you have lost is your best bet to reignite your fire for making an impact? What if I told you that this lack is what makes you a difference maker? For that, as my previous powerful co-speaker said, your perspective matters. You got to change your perspective to change your life. I got polio, this planet's deadliest disease, when I was 6 months old. Most people infected with it would die. I survived somehow with a permanent disability to carry throughout my life. With that, I lost the ability to walk well before reaching the age to walk. There was no medical or physiotherapy help at that time to get me out of it. I was left to survive somehow. Now imagine, because of my immobility, I was at the risk of not even going to school. In India's remote, uneducated area some 40 years ago, there was no future for a kid like me. I could only crawl on the floor. On top of that, we were so poor to even buy a single book. I remember I had to wear this 20 kg heavy prosthetics on my leg just to take that robotic step, I had braces made up of steel rods. It has few leather straps, a heavy boot at the bottom to keep my leg in place, Its weight was more than my own weight as a kid, and I was always left behind by my classmates. Often I had to baby walk back home covering 2-kilometer distance in some 2 hours. The thing that you lack the most is one that makes you hungry the most, isn't it? And that hunger is what forces you to move forward. When you are hungry, what are your choices? The only option you have is to chase your food. The destination point of that chase is to find new you, discover new you, who can make that hunger as fuel for life. I was too slow for others to stay with me. I was always left behind. I lacked speed, and I became hungry for being faster. I thought someday I will master the speed. I told myself if I can't walk with legs, I will walk faster in something else. Today, I stand before you as a global authority on speed in learning and performance. I coach people and professionals and executives on the value of walking faster in whatever they do. I save them time, save them a journey, save them efforts, and help them achieve their desired earnings, status, promotions, and dreams at a faster rate in a shorter time. That's what makes me an impact maker. But back then, I tried hard myself to somehow walk or stand like normal kids. I couldn't accept what I had been put into. So I rebelled. I wanted to change the world around me. Why? Because we are humans, Darwin's survival of the fittest fighters, isn't it? The first instinct of a fighter inside you is to fight with it and try to break it. So the day and night you keep trying to find ways to break that wall. There is a pride thing also. So I also kept on chanting those motivational slogans. I must keep trying. I can't fail. I can't run away. I can't quit. Result? The more I tried, the more my emotional and physical problem escalated to the point of breakdown. But the question you may have is why so? Because I was trying to break the wrong wall. We all forget an important lesson from centuries of history and civilization. How to win a war with an opponent without knowing the opponent well enough. I did not understand the wall that was indeed troubling me well or enough earlier. I watched a kid playing all day long from my room's window while I was glued to this chair. More I watched, more I compared, and more voices inside me told me that I was a social reject. I did not belong. Whatever I do, I am still gonna be disabled and not accepted in that circle. The real walls that were pulling me back were not my inability to walk, but it was the thinking that I was inferior. It was the feeling that I wasn't good enough. How many of you thought at least once in your life that you were not good enough? Raise your hands. Everyone, almost every one of you, I assume. So those limiting beliefs, mindset are perceived limitation that we make up in our minds. Those are disabilities too, because those do not let you walk forward. Physical disability, financial loss, job loss, deal loss, project failure, relationship failure, or even medical conditions. Those, those things are really nothing. So stop overplaying them. I have some questions you got to reflect upon deeply. Do you take enough time to understand what's limiting you? Is it even real or just made up, perceived in your mind? Are you breaking the correct wall? When you answer these questions, it will challenge your perspectives. Then you will discover new you. You will become resilient because you reorient your perspectives. One day I realized I had plenty of distraction-free time while being glued to the chair, free of social interruptions and free of those spoiler friends, right? I had time at my disposal, which other kids of my age did not have. While I had this unobstructed time, what could I bet upon with it? My previous co-speaker already gave you the answer. Bet on myself, okay? So I made a bet on myself. Reading and learning was my best bet since it literally tied me to the chair. I immersed myself in the world of learning. I started reading any book I could put my hand on. I read books ahead of my age. I remember the first book I ever read was Dale Carnegie, while kids would read comics at that age. My bet paid off well. Soon I mastered poetry, chemistry, astronomy, physics, science, and any other book I could afford or buy or borrow. Where all this came from? It came from that hunger to be fast in something. That hunger propelled me to develop a passion for learning new things better and quicker. At that time, frankly, I had no goal to be a difference maker to the world. I started with a simple goal of making an impact on myself and sort of proving to myself and to others around me that I was better than them. So forget those celebrity slogans like we want to make a difference to the million people's life. I realized during my journey that the first person you must make impact upon is yourself. You can't think big. You can't make an impact on others. You can't make a difference to anybody unless you make an impact on yourself, unless you make a difference to yourself. So impact starts with you. No, let's take it to the next level. Impact starts with your lacks, your limitation, your gaps, your failures. Some of you may still be very doubtful. Wait a second. If I am limited somehow due to whatever reason, how could I even make an impact? My immobility was a limitation, but it was a leverage too. It was my opportunity too. So that exact thing is what helped me discover myself. I discovered my love for learning. I fell in love with the whole fun and enjoyment of learning. And I saw that as a way to make a bet on myself. So I began to experiment on myself. Today, I am world's leading learning scientist with 2 doctorates. I earned over 100 international credentials and some of world's highest certifications. I cracked the code to speed up learning. That's the single most thing every single human on this planet needs: learning, and learning fast. And that was my way of making a big impact on the world. But back then in my childhood, I also had these healthy hands. So I engaged in all sort of arts, painting, other creative things, while other kids were busy playing cricket. So don't compare yourself with others. If you do, then figure out what's the thing that you can bet upon to stay ahead, to achieve the excellence you deserve. When I was a kid, I had the luxury to daydream and imagine vividly. How many kids get to daydream without getting scolded by their parents? I bet not many, right? But for me, it was a leverage. That's where the writer inside me awakened. I wrote dramas, stories, poetries, and many things while other kids were struggling to write essays. Today, I am the author of 20 books. How ironic is that I didn't even have enough money in my childhood to buy a single book, but now I have written 20. Most of the books I write are about how to seek higher level excellence in life. When I saw my crisis, my disability, my setbacks, my limitations, I did not see walls. I saw windows. I began to see so many windows of opportunities, leverages, advantages. I leveraged everything my limitation offered me. So a simple thought changed the course of my life. If I can't walk or play, what else could I do? That question of perspective opened up my world of leverages most people would ignore. So perspective matters. Moving the focus from limitation to leverages, that simple shift in the thought process can save us from a war with the walls. So despite my disability, I became an engineer at the age of 21, even though I was ruled out that I can't. A year later, I became a scientist, a goal I had in mind since ninth grade. So if you see, my real wall of disability did not come my way. How many times those motivational gurus told you, break the boundaries, break the walls, break the boundaries? Many times you heard, right? I believe we don't even need to break the walls or boundaries when we truly start to looking at the things our adversity brings with us. When we shift the perspective, you would see that there are windows could be right through them. You would discover new you beyond those walls. Through those walls, you will find new business opportunities by betting on your losses. You will find tons of leverages in your failed projects. You will begin to spot new opportunities even in your lacks. And you will begin to impact the world with the exact same thing what you thought made you less than others. Les Brown is a legend. He says, life has no limitations except the ones you make. If you really want to recover from your setbacks and want to make a more significant impact in the world, the big question for you to ponder is, are you ready to start impacting yourself? Because impact starts with you. Thank you, my friends.